Greetings, fellow adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Hello, dear viewers. Get ready to expand your horizons as we delve into Casimir-Pierre Périer. Casimir-Pierre Périer, 11 October 1777 – 16 May 1832, was a French banker, mine owner, political leader and statesman. In business, through his bank in Paris and ownership of the Anzin Coal Company in the department of Nord, he contributed significantly to the economic development of France in the early stages of industrialization. In politics, he was a leading liberal member of the Chamber of Deputies throughout the Bourbon Restoration and president of the Chamber at the outset of the July Revolution of 1830. He led the liberal-conservative resistance party in support of the constitutional monarchy of Louis-Philippe I. He became president of the Council of Ministers and Minister of Interior in the spring of 1831, 13 March 1831, 16 May 1832. Although his ministry was brief, his strong government succeeded in restoring order at home and keeping peace abroad. He fell victim to the cholera epidemic in France in 1832. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine early life and its connections to our previous discussions. Born in Grenoble, Casimir Périer was the fourth of the 8 sons of Millard Claude Nicolas Périer, the rich merchant, manufacturer and banker who opened his Chi de Vizille to the famous meeting of the Estates of Dauphin 21 July 1788, foreshadowing the French Revolution. His mother was the former Marie Charlotte Pascal, the daughter of a prominent linens manufacturer at nearby Voiron. Both his father and grandfather Jacques Périer made their fortunes in the commerce of canvas and linen cloths. Claude added the manufacture of printed cotton cloths Indianas at the Chi de Vizille, which he purchased in 1780 from Gabriel Louis de Neufville, Duc de Villeroy. The Revolution and Napoleon opened up new opportunities for families of the wealthy bourgeoisie grenoblois such as the Périers. Claude Périer shifted the center of his business affairs to Paris, where he took up residence beginning in 1794 Rue Saint-Honore and mingled with leading French financiers. In 1795 he invested in and became a director of the largest coal mining company in northern France, the Anzin Company. In 1796 he helped to found a major investment bank in Paris, the Caisse de Comptes Courants, and in 1799, shortly after Napoleon's coup d'etat of Brumaire, he became one of the founders and first directors of the famous Bank of France. Claude Périer died on 6 February 1801, leaving his remarkably large family of 10 children to share his enormous estate valued at 5,800,000 francs. Casimir, who was 24 years old at the time, inherited shares in the Anzin Company, land at Grenoble Department d'Industrie, and in common with his brother Scipien, the property in Paris on the Rue Saint-Honore. He'd had little experience in business or banking. His father had anticipated that the 3 eldest brothers, Augustin, Alexander and Scipien, would carry on the family businesses at Grenoble-Vizille. Casimir himself gave no clear indication of a specific career choice. He was intelligent, energetic, handsome and eager to succeed, but he had spent his life mostly as a student and received a church school and Jesuit tutor classical education. During service with the army in Italy from 1799 to 1800, he began to consider a military career, but his father's death and legacy, the law of Paris, and his close friendship with his older brother Scipien took him in a much different direction. Brace yourself for a deep dive into business career as we explore its impact and relevance in our evolving narrative. The 2 brothers, Casimir and Scipien, founded a bank in Paris 8 June 1801, located at No. 8 Place Venn until 1809, and after that year at No. 27 Rue du Luxembourg, now the Rue Cambon. Henry Fleury and William Sabatia, who were former associates with their father at the Bank of France and the Anzin Company, respectively, helped to get the bank started. The youngest Périer brother, Joseph, joined the bank in 1822, approximately 1 year after the death of Scipien. The affairs of the older Périer bank at Grenoble were by then administered mainly by another younger brother, Alphonse. The Bank of Périer in Paris, which played a significant and leading role in the early stages of the Industrial Revolution in France, would be near the peak of its success in the EURs, numbering importantly by then among a small and select group of private banking houses known collectively as La Haute Banque Parisienne. Scipien became a regent of the Bank of France in 1818, Casimir in 1820. They both became members of the influential Chamber of Commerce of Paris. The two most important clients of the Périer Bank were the Anzin Coal Company Department of Nord and the Périer-owned iron foundry and workshops in Paris at Chaillet. The founder-owner of the Chaillet firm, Jacques-Constantin Périer, who was not related to the Paris bankers, was well known for having brought the Watt steam engine to France. Famously, he used a Watt engine at Chaillet to provide Paris with water pumped from the Seine. In 1802 he supplied the Anzin Company with 20 of his engines for winding and drainage at the mines. Casimir and Scipien Périer purchased the Chaillet firm in 1818 and used its workshops to upgrade Anzin with more efficient Cornish high-pressure engines patented in France by Arthur Wolff. Chaillet was an important part of the most notable entrepreneurial achievement of the Périers during the Restoration, namely, the renovation, managerial reorganization and business expansion of Anzin. The Anzin Coal Company, which was established in 1757 as a closely held, family-owned firm managed by a self-perpetuating board of 6 directors, fell on hard times during the Revolution until rescued in 1795 by heavy investments from wealthy representatives of la grande bourgeoisie. Thus Claude Périer became a director of the company. The firm did reasonably well after 1795, although most of the new outsiders, less Parisians who joined the founding families, looked on Anzin as simply one of many investments. Not so Casimir and Scipien Périer, who determined to become active owner-directors for purposes of renovating and re-energizing the company for increased production and maximization of profits. The Périer Bank in Paris became the company bank, regulating Anzin's accounts and contracts and supervising its large reserve funds. The brothers gradually took over making company policies. They were a good team. Scipien had the broad knowledge of the science and technology of the times. He was a long-standing member of the Society for the Encouragement of National Industry, Est. 1801, Casimir acted as the determined, driving force for innovation and risk-taking as opposed to the old ways and to cautious decision-making. He was Anzin's home fort during the rejuvenation of the company in the EURs. His much-quoted 1826 General Report on Anzin Company Affairs illustrated the thoroughness of his knowledge of his firm's needs and potential. One measure of success during the Restoration was that output of coal at the mines increased from 250,000 metric tons in 1816 to 509,000 tons in 1830. In association with other prominent bankers and business leaders, the Périers also engaged in the establishment of new financial institutions of the Restoration. Thus, in 1818, Casimir and Scipien were among the founder-directors of the first French savings bank, the Caisseban et de Prévoyance de Paris No. 104 Rue Reclus. Besides the Périer Bank, other investors included Jacques Laffitte, governor of the Bank of France, and the banks of Lefebvre, Pillet-Will, and Cottier. The same 5 banking houses helped back the organization during 1816-20 of an important early insurance company, the Compagnie Réelle d'Assurances, and in 1823 they would take part in the Compagnie de Courtrai-Cannes, a joint stock company for loans to the government to improve the canal system in northern France. Perhaps a best example of the Périer Bank's involvement in innovative financial ventures during the Restoration was the case of the Ulster Société Commanditaire des Industries. Conceived in 1825 mainly by Jacques Laffitte, its prospective president, this joint stock company capitalized at 100 million francs was intended to help remedy the growing need in France for increased investment capital for large-scale projects in areas such as mining, metallurgy, canal construction and land development. It had the support of the Haute Bank and foreign banking houses. Casimir Périer and William Turner, France's leading woolens manufacturer, were its prospective vice presidents. But in the end, Unfortunately, the conservative Ville ministry under Charles X refused to authorize the establishment of the commanditaire. Casimir-Périer's policy as a banker was to spread his capital investment over a wide range of characteristic early 19th century business enterprise. He engaged as well in almost continuous investment in land and real estate, calculated most recently at about 15% of his total investments during 1815-30. Most notable were his purchases of highly valued properties on the Rue Neuve du Luxembourg, the Rue Saint-Honor and the Champs-Élysées, a summer residence in the Bois de Boulogne, the Chi Saint-Pierre-le-Taillis in Normandy, near Rouen, and the parkland and ruins of the Chi-Pont-sur-Seine department of Aube, a property owned previously by Napoleon that was destroyed by invading armies in 1814. Casimir's largest investment in Paris real estate during the Restoration was made in 1829-30 when he agreed to pay 744,600 francs for properties on the Rue Saint-Honor owned by Francis Egerton, Duke of Bridgewater. By the time of the Revolution of 1830, Casimir-Périer was one of the richest men in Paris. At the age of 55 in 1832, when he died of cholera, his estate was estimated at close to 14 million francs. Both Casimir and Casimir-Périer valued education and believed strongly in the advancement of science and technology. They supported Joseph de Guerando's Société pour l'amélioration des enseignements élémentaires est. 1815, and they arranged at Anzin for night school instruction for workers using courses designed by Charles Dupin. In Paris, they supported the practical education programs provided by the École Spéciale de Commerce, founded in 1816, and the École Centrale des Arts et Manufactures, established in 1828. After Casimir was elected to the Chamber of Deputies in 1817, he would vote to protect the budgets of the Conservatory of Arts and Sciences and trade schools in the departments. As we venture forward, let's take a closer look at political career and its impact on our understanding. Casimir-Périer's wide-ranging business interests and investments help to explain his opposition in the Chamber of Deputies to financial policies of Restoration ministries. In 1817, he opposed the policy of the Richelieu ministry for raising loans to pay the war indemnity demanded by the Allied coalition after Napoleon's final defeat. In the Eures, he was a leader in debates against the policies of the Ville ministry for financing canal construction and for indemnifying the nobility for lands confiscated during the Revolution. Périer entered the Chamber of Deputies for Paris in 1817, taking his seat in the left centre with the moderate opposition, and making his first speech in defence of the freedom of the press. Re-elected for Paris in 1822 and 1824, and in 1827 for Paris and for Troyes, he elected to represent Troyes department of Aube, and sat for that constituency until his death. Périer's violence in debate was not associated with any disloyalty to the Bourbon Restoration, and he held resolutely aloof from the Republican conspiracies and intrigues which prepared the way for the Revolution of 1830. Under the Martinique ministry, there was some prospect of a reconciliation with the court, and, in January 1829, he was nominated a candidate for the presidency of the chamber, but in August, with the elevation to power of Jules, Prince de Polignac, the truce ceased, and on 15 March 1830, Périer was one of the 221 deputies who repudiated the ordinances put forward by Charles X. Averse by instinct and by interest to popular revolution, Périer nevertheless sat on the Provisory Commission of Five at the Hôtel de Ville during the 3 glorious days of July 1830, but he refused to sign the declaration of Charles X's dethronement. Périer reluctantly recognized in the government of Louis-Philippe's constitutional monarchy the only alternative to the continuance of the revolution, but he was no favorite with the new king, whom he scorned for his trucking with the Paris mob. He became president of the Chamber of Deputies, and sat for a few months in the cabinet, though without a portfolio. Brace yourself for a captivating discussion on President of the Council as we explore its nuances and implications. During the first years of the July monarchy of Louis-Philippe I, following the fall of the weak and discredited ministry of Louis-Philippe Périer, who had drifted more and more to the right, was summoned to power 13 March 1831, and, in the short space of a year, he more or less restored civic order in France and re-established her credit in Europe. Paris was in a constant state of disturbance from March to September, and was only held in check by the Premier's determination. The Canet revolt at Lyon was suppressed after hard fighting, and at Grenoble, in face of the quarrels between the military and the inhabitants, Périer declined to make any concession to the townsfolk. For Périer, the revolution of 1830 was not the beginning of greater things to come, it was the end of the revolution of 1789. As he said to Odelin Barrett of Laffitte's party of movement, "No, monsieur, there has not been a revolution, only a change in the head of state." As a minister, Périer refused to be dragged into armed intervention in favor of the revolutionary government of Warsaw, but his policy of peace did not exclude energetic demonstrations in support of French interests. He constituted France the protector of Belgium by the prompt expedition of the Army of the North against the Dutch in August 1831. French influence in Italy was asserted by the audacious occupation of Ancona 23 February 1832, and the refusal of compensation for injuries to French residents by the Portuguese government was followed by a naval demonstration at Lisbon. Périer had undertaken the premiership with many forebodings, and overwork and anxiety prepared the way for disease. In the spring of 1832, during the cholera outbreak in Paris, he visited the hospitals in company with Prince Ferdinand Philippe, Duke of Orleans. He fell ill the next day of a violent fever, and died 6 weeks later. Get ready for a captivating exploration as we unravel the layers of private life and their profound significance. Casimir Périer married 13 October 1805 Marie-Xyle Lawrence Lawyer, nicknamed Pauline, the daughter of Laurent Palthus Lawyer, an old regime magistrate of Lyon who was a victim of the terror during the Revolution. There were 2 sons, Auguste Casimir Périer, deputy for Seine and Aube, and Charles-Paul Périer, deputy and senator for Seine-in-Fria. Auguste Casimir's son, Jean Casimir Périer, was elected president of the Third Republic in 1894. Have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future videos? Let me know in the comments.